there was a very strange today. A new home sales, the report I believe for August, was just really, really strong and out of the blue. Like no one expected to see new home sales do that. And so we're going to go into it and see if we can figure out something on our own. I don't know. We'll find out. But anyway, I wanted to go over like a question. Let's pose it this way. What would you do? What would you do if you were scheduled to close? You're the buyer. You're scheduled to close on a house, and you get a call from your real estate agent that the ceiling has collapsed in one of the bedrooms. Well, that's what I got to do with one of my buyers last week. And so let me just go through this. Let's go through the story and just see what happened, and maybe someday down the road, if you ever get stuck in a situation, you'll know that like this is what happened. So we're scheduled to close on Thursday because, as you know, I refuse to close on a Friday or Monday. The reason I don't like to close on Fridays or Mondays is because coming into the weekend, sometimes people don't realize there's 2 days, and so the banks aren't working and title companies aren't working. And so if you schedule closing at 10 o'clock on Monday morning, I mean, there's no chance for anybody to get any of the work done if there's something missing on the file. On Fridays, I don't like to close because people they've taken the day off. They take it mentally at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. Nobody's getting any work done, at least from my experience. And if something goes wrong and you can't close on Friday afternoon, it gets pushed back to Monday. But again, you weren't working on Saturday and Sunday, so not good. Not something that I would ever recommend. But anyway, we'll get to it. So scheduled to close on Thursday. A nice couple from a different state coming in to do the closing. We go to the because they're coming in late. Closing is on Thursday. We schedule the walkthrough on Wednesday. Now the walkthrough is pretty much for me. It's always been pretty ceremonial. Let me just give you an example. So let's say in a really tough market where you've really beat the seller up and the seller is supposed to fix, they got a list to fix like 30 things. You're not an expert as a real estate agent. You're not an expert in every single repair. You can require and ask for them to give you lien waivers, receipts of the work done. But I mean, let's just be honest. If there's a plumbing pipe in the basement, okay, and it's under concrete, you don't know if it's been fixed. You have no idea. And you can say, well, they can camera it out and show you the camera. Yeah, but again, that's a negotiation, and they're not necessarily going to do that. So the walkthrough for me is always pretty ceremonial. And with this particular deal, I've been in touch with the listing agent constantly because it's been a deal that's been very, very tough. Not because of the listing agent, not really because of the sellers, not because of the buyers or me. It's just a very difficult house. There's things about it that make things hard. So Wednesday morning, I get a call. Actually, Tuesday night, I get a call from the listing agent that says, hey, we don't have the occupancy permit. That inspection is scheduled for tomorrow. Is there any way you can hold off on the walkthrough until after the occupancy inspection? Because we also have to get a plumbing inspection. We don't just get to get an occupancy. I said, sure, totally fine. So we postponed the walkthrough until about 6. He says, oh, by the way, the plumbing inspector needs to see behind the wall, and so there's a hole, and we're going to fix that. We'll paint it, and everything will be good before closing on Thursday. So okay. So around noon, I get a call from the listing agent, and he says, hey man, got some bad news. The ceiling has collapsed in the bedroom. I said, really? He said, yeah, the air conditioner is leaking, and it was leaking for a couple days and nobody noticed, and finally the plaster ceiling fell through. This is a 200-year-old house. The ceiling just fell through. We're supposed to close the next day. We're supposed to close on Thursday. Part of the terms of the contract where we were going to have occupancy. So now we got a problem. We really do. The first thing as an agent, when you got bad news, I think you go tell on the buyer's side, you tell your buyer. If it's on the seller side, you tell your seller. I think I've been raised to believe that whenever you encounter a problem, you're also supposed to offer a solution. But I found that if you don't have a solution, it's best just to get the negative information to the people as fast as possible, because you don't want to tell somebody bad news. And so you're going to procrastinate, and it's going to take more time, and you're still not going to get a solution that you need. So anyway, I called my buyer and I said, we got a problem. Ceiling has collapsed. And so immediately I said, the safest thing to do is call off closing. We're not going to get occupancy, and you probably shouldn't be at risk for the ceiling. Problem with that is you're locked in on a mortgage. And because this was a house that has been on the market under contract for more than 2 months, they would have to, if they postponed a certain number of days, they would have had to pay, they would have to reset their mortgage. And I think they were in their mortgage at like maybe in the 5s. And right now mortgages are not in the 5s on 30-year fix. So this was not going to work. We weren't able to postpone closing. But we did postpone closing for one day because there was, literally when we went through the walkthrough, there was, the ceiling had fallen down. Like there was cleaning that needed to be done. Because of that, the sellers couldn't get all their stuff out of the house in time. And so we postponed it for a day. Now, what ended up happening? Well, now the seller is off the hook for getting an occupancy permit. They would have gotten the occupancy permit. Like everything else was perfect, except when the ceiling collapsed. That kind of ruined that. But, could my buyers have not closed on the property? Yes. But what good would that have done? You say, well, they could have gotten a credit. Really, at the end of the day, you're not getting a credit on the last, legally, like within the mortgage rules, you're not getting a credit on the last day of a deal. You'd have had it right off the contract. Not going to do that. Not going to do that. So you can take issue with me. You can say, John, well, you should never have had your buyers close. But how many thousands of dollars would I be, like they wanted the house. How many thousands of dollars would they have had to spend on 30 years of a mortgage that was almost 1.5% higher than what they were locked in with? You say, well, make the seller pay for that. Well, does the seller have any money? Do we know if the seller has any money to be able to pay? And that thing isn't getting fixed for a week. So now my sellers or my buyers are, they're already in town just for a couple of days for the closing. They got to go back to their jobs and their lives. What are they going to do? And so I guess what I wanted to impress upon you is when you're going to do real estate or when you're going to do anything, you should probably take a pragmatic approach to things. It's one of the things that surprises me a lot when I talk to other agents and when I talk to other sellers and buyers. Like if it seems to make sense to me. Like if you want to go buy a house, okay, then you should take all the steps necessary to buy the house, right? Like you don't, for instance, you don't want to write an offer to buy a house with no intention of actually buying a house. And yet, I've seen people bounce escrow checks, not helpful. I've seen people want to back out after the inspection, not helpful. You kind of have to go down a path like you agree to do this, okay? And as you're looking for a house, I liken it to like a hunt. We're hunting for a home. We're hunting for the best deal. Okay, it's not. It's like it's a contact. You're never going to buy a house sitting on your couch. You got to get out there. You got to go write an offer. You got to follow these steps. And it didn't make any sense for the buyer or the seller. Both the seller was committed to selling the home. Buyer was committed to buying the home. It didn't make any sense at all to wait, weeks out. Now, is there an exposure to my buyers? Yes, they have to get the ceiling fixed. It's not good. It's not good. They're not going to be able to move in right away, but they weren't going to be able to move in right away anyway. They didn't have all their stuff ready. They weren't moving in this week. So anyway, that's one of the things that's, we talked about me being sick for a while. That's one of the things that I dealt with while I was sick is, running into this issue. And hopefully it works itself out. So that being said, let's get on to something a little lighter, the Nord Stream pipeline 1 and 2. Probably not lighter, but it's in Google Trends.